Today I'm going to show you how to make a gauge swatch for a top-down sweater that I'm starting. A gauge swatch is a way to measure how many stitches per inch you get, since people will knit with different types of tension. Some people are very tight knitters, some people are loose knitters, and because we don't know whether the designer is a tight knitter or loose knitter, we need to make sure that our stitches per inch is the same as the designer, so that this sweater will fit the way the designer intended and the way we want it to fit. So this one is saying that I should shoot for 21 stitches per 4 inches. It doesn't say that this swatch should be knit in the round, so I'm just knitting a flat swatch here, knitting a row and purling a row and knitting a row and purling a row. Even though I'm going to measure 21 stitches in a 4-inch piece of knitting, I cast on 30 stitches because stockinette fabric can roll on the edges, and I want to have a nice flat piece of work in which to measure those stitches. So I'll let the edges curl a bit, and I'll always cast on more stitches than the gauge swatch is actually calling for. In this pattern, I should add that the designer recommended that I use a sport weight yarn using a US size 6. So that's what I'm starting with this gauge swatch. I'm using a US 6 for this gauge swatch to see if my tension is equal to hers. As we're looking at our piece of fabric here, each little V is a stitch, and the little V's are what we're going to be counting here. So we're checking to see how many V's in a 4-inch piece of stockinette fabric. Let's measure how many stitches we got per inch. So I am looking right here, and let's start counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. Now I was shooting for 21 stitches in a 4-inch measurement, and even though that one little stitch might not seem like it makes a big difference, it could really make a pretty big impact in the overall size and fit of this sweater. So even though I started my gauge swatch using a US 6 needle, I am changing to a US 7 at this point, and I'm going to make more fabric on my swatch. I'm going to knit for at least another inch or so with the US 7 needle, because the bigger the needle is, the less stitches will be in that 4-inch measurement. So I am going to knit a little bit more with the US 7, and then I'm going to measure those stitches and see if we hit the magic number, which in this case is 21. Okay, now I think I have enough knitting in the US 7 on the top portion of my swatch, and I'm ready to measure it and see if I get 21. So I just want to smooth it out so it's nice and flat. I guess I could always put it on a mat and pin it down. That would be a little bit easier. I'm taking my ruler and I'm ready to measure these stitches. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. So I had 21 stitches in a 4-inch piece of stockinette fabric. That's what I was hoping for. If I wanted to at this point, I could block this piece of knitting because I know it's going to bloom nicely, but I'm pleased with how the fabric looks on the US 7. So with the US 7 needle, I'm going to start this pattern and proceed.